he has a powerful presence on screen. And even when he plays small parts, like there's a movie called Kill the Messenger.
Yeah.
When he played Rick Ross. And he has one scene in the movie, but I mean, it's unforgettable. And I suggest everybody go watch that film with Jeremy Renner, who's the lead in it. But I mean, everything that he's been a part of, I'm always a big fan. And being that I live in Harlem, and this series is going to be pretty impactful, I believe. And Sway, you even know one of the guys who was charged, which I believe you'll talk about also.
Yes,
So
Central Park
please welcome,
5.
yeah, Michael K. Williams.
Michael K. Williams.
Mike.
What up, my brother, man? We see each other now and just laugh.
Man,
like,
come on. Family,
Mike, I want you to sit in a couple of these stories, man, real quick. We got Celebrity Wire with Tracy G. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
let's talk about Common, man. This is Heather's mental husband. He's been very open, candid about his life. We know that he has his memoir. One of the first things that he revealed is he was molested as a child. And now he's talking about a breakup that really hurt him, and that was when he separated from Erykah Badu. He considers her to be his first real love. He spoke about this in an interview of People magazine. He said, with Erykah Badu, that was my first love where you're just open and floating. When we split, I was 27 or 28. I was in a haze, just going through the motions. It was hard to eat. It wasn't her fault. The relationship just didn't go forward. But then he also spoke about another life-changing breakup. He didn't mention the woman's name, but something in my heart is saying Serena, but don't quote me, citizens. But he said another breakup after that was heavy. That one honestly is what sent me to therapy. And he added, I know how to communicate like an adult now. I want to be the best partner I can be.
Wow, man, I appreciate that honesty. Mike, you ever have your heart broken and shook your world?
Well, first of all, shout out to my brother, Common. That's my brother, off screen. And I'm going to just put it out there and just say, me too, first of all.
Okay.
Right? I'm a survivor, right? And then in regards to Badu, I don't know if you all really had the pleasure of being in her presence.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're in her crosshairs, it's going to make you or it's going to break you. But one thing's for certain, you're going to come out a changed man. Shout out to Badu, baby. That's my sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
Through and through.
And then to you, too, because you mentioned me, too, kind of went by it, but Common talked about being molested as a child, and I know you've spoken about your experiences, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
and so I want to commend you, bro.
Absolutely.
For your bravery and courage, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Helping others
Thank
do
you.
the same.
Absolutely.
Healing to talk about it.
Let's talk about it, man. Okay, so what else you got, Tracy?
All right.
And since we're on that topic, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it, man.
It's on my spirit right now, right? Like when we talk about the adults that hurt children,
Yeah.
right? It is, as a survivor, I've come to a place where I think that we need to, as a community, create a safe space for the perpetrators, for these pedophiles to say, as sick as this may sound, but we need to create a space where they can get up and say, hey, I'm not feeling well today. I feel like hurting a child.
Yeah.
Right? And if we don't do that, I believe as a community, with the public shaming and the banning and all of those things, that's not going to stop pedophilia. I start past to tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's my belief that it will only perpetuate because we shame them into secrecy. And like what my big brother, well, I'm older than him, but I consider him my big brother. What Jay-Z said, man, we can't heal what we never reveal. So if we, pedophilia is a sickness. Let's get that straight. Like addiction, like all the other things that we claim in our community. Mental illness. Pedophilia is a sickness. Anything that makes you look at a child and you're intimately or sexually aroused, to me that's sick. Yeah. That's a sickness, and we need just to create a space. I don't know what that looks like.
Okay.
I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was going to ask you, what does that look like? You know,
I don't
you don't know that, no, but I think that's a great idea, because a lot of those perpetrators are our family members.
Yeah.
Ain't that some
Let's
shit?
be clear about
What I
that.
mean?
Word.
So what do you do with your family members?
Wow.
So it'd be like any other, like a rehab space where people just come together and they have somebody just moderate a discussion and they can just.
I think those things exist. What I'm talking about is the public shaming.
Yeah.
Like from the community, pedophiles are forced to, like the things that they are forced to do once they've been caught. It's kind of like the mark of the felon. How do you expect a human being to heal and to prosper with that type of scrutiny. So I'm quite sure there are groups and support groups and things of that nature. I was talking about more so the support from the community, and as weird as that sounds, I don't really know what that looks like, what that conversation looks like. I just believe that there needs to be a space for that.
Yeah, I feel you on
I
that.
appreciate that. Michael K. Williams, coming from you, that makes so much sense. You know what I mean? And I can tell you put a lot of layers of thought behind it. That's Mike, though, Heather. That's what he does, man. I appreciate you, man. What else you got,
Very
Tracy?
much
Pivot.
so. Pivoting, we shall do. Another big revelation, but definitely not as deep as what we just discussed. Ronnie from Jersey Shore, citizen, friend of the show, he just revealed that he got liposuction so he could get his abs back. Oftentimes, after a woman gives birth, she goes on a big mission for her snapback. And he said after his daughter was born, he started eating too much. He was spending a lot of time being a paternal figure. He gained some pounds and he wanted to keep up with his image, his perception, but time wasn't on his side to get his abs back. But the doctor is on his side, so that's what he got. Some rocks put in his belly.
So he got fake abs?
Yeah.
Fake abs.
In addition to that, so Drake, who's been looking beautiful on the gram, if any dudes in here need inspiration, you want, a gym partner, Drake is it. So he put a photo of himself somewhere in front of like a beach in front of the ocean. His shirt is off. You see that, Heather? Get a good glimpse. Anyway, so he said, forget what it's called, but I mean, whatever. Who cares about what he said? DJ Carnage came through and left a comment that said, you got fake ab surgery in Colombia. You ain't fooling nobody. But I think he was just trolling. Yeah, because Drake, his reply was interesting. He said, is this because you are angry about the one thing that happened with that one person the other day that you thought was your wifey? And he said, holla at me. I'll get you right, too.
Wow. Okay. Hey, so Mike, you ever get like fake abs, man?
No. But I don't judge nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I will say this. You know what I mean? This is what 53 looks like.
There he
This is what 53 look like. No surgery. You know what I mean? I'm just saying though.
No surgery.
No surgery. This is what 53 looks like.
Don't want some Al Green, DJ. Wow. Love and happiness.
Mike, how do you feel? There are a lot of dudes who are borrowing from what women do for their aesthetic upkeep, so to say, and there are dudes who are getting hairline surgery and doing different things for that. Safari.
You know what I will speak to?
Yes.
What I think we need to stop again in the community. Why is it a sin or is it a bad thing for men of color to want to take care of our skin? Okay, for instance, I exfoliate.
Hello,
you know what I mean?
As you should.
So you say that?
No, my dude. So
Get on
yeah,
it,
I mean,
Callaway.
I'm that dude, but I take care of my skin. So I put all natural oils in my skin. I don't use I try not to even use makeup on set. I'd be like, why would you want to mess with this beautiful shine, this melanin?
Come on, kid.
You know what I mean? This is God given. But my road manager, right? I was noticing he was getting the crust under the neck. You know what I mean? So I was like, yo, my brother, I gave him one of my gloves, right? The exfoliation gloves.
Good.
Right? He went home to wifey. She going through his suitcase. She said, want to explain this? I'm like, oh, no, big bro, put me on. But I'm like, in our community, why are men, why we can't take care of our skin?
She probably thought a woman gave it to him.
That's
honestly,
exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say because things
get
that take care of our
mani-pedis
skin, I bite. I bite, man. I
Okay.
bite like a mug.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But the things that take care of our skin, that's all on the female section.
Right.
You can't. All they give men for skincare, we get one little thing, a tray
like,
with all
bump be gone.
Bar soap.
shaving stuff and soap,
Yeah.
body soap.
Yeah.
Women, y'all get a whole aisle of skincare and lotion and you know what I mean?
Shout out to Scotch Porter, though.
Yeah, brothers, we are. It's all right to take care of our skin. Shout
Why
out
you
to
say that
Perfect
again?
Blue Alchemy.
I'm about to exfoliate.
Exfoliate.
You do
Okay.
masks too?
No, ma'am. No. For me, the exfoliation and the natural oils, I'm using a product called Perfect Blue Alchemy. You know what I mean? It's all natural oils, no nothing in it but what the skin needs. And, my God-given gift with that melanin, it don't need much, man.
You really don't. It's a good black on
We
him.
all got that melanin here. You know what I'm talking about, bruh.
Say good black.
Because he got a good black. It's a lot of different shades of black, and you got to make sure you right in pocket though, Mike. Got to be honest with you right in pocket. Sway, what about you? How you skincare?
How you get down?
How you getting down, Sway?
Sway don't got no bumps. Sway doing something
He doing
right.
something.
So Sway got that
That
smooth
woman-
I'm
butter.
gonna say something to you, Mike. I mean, hold up.
Come on,
That's
bro.
all
Taking your
That's what it do, bro. Come on,
He
bro.
did one ride
We
on
grown men
Peloton.
up in
Here we
here.
go.
That's what we do.
Coconut oil, and alkaline
skin,
water.
baby.
bro.
You see that?
That's
baby?
right.
Give him some
This
lotion.
black man
Like a
take care of
baby's
his skin.
ass
That's
right there, baby.
That's
You
right,
know,
though.
I don't
That's
do
right.
it. You know what
Yeah, think about it.
I've been gifted from my parents. My family all have pretty great skin. Even went to my daughter, and it kind of stays moist. And I think if you trace it back to those melanin roots at the nucleus,
Absolutely.
somewhere in the Congo is where my people are from. And the only thing I do is I might put a little bit of shea butter on my skin just to make sure when I hit the air, when I hit the elements, that the skin epidermis is being protected.
Come on, brother. Come on with it, brother.
I keep that, man. There's something special about
Hold
it.
up. What's up with the butter?
For Sway,
That's
for his
vegan
skin.
butter.
For them
That's
elbows.
vegan butter.
He
That's
didn't
vegan
show us the
butter.
elbows.
For Sway elbows and his knuckles.
Oh, hold on, let me see my
For Sway knuckles.
hold on.
Shea butter ran out.
What my elbows look like
Oh,
today,
my
man?
goodness, man.
What my
Oh,
elbows
wow.
look like today?
Wow.
my
What a
elbows look like
Friday.
today,
Shining,
man?
bro.
Come
That's
on,
that
what my
good-
knuckles
good
look like? I
melon.
knew Mike was coming. Come on, man. By the way, thank you, Tracy, for that Celebrity Wire.
No doubt.
Mike, you are part of one of what I consider one of the most important series that I've been anticipating for a long time. I remember Ava DuVernay came up on the show, and she told me when this comes out, I would love to have people come on the show talk about it. It's coming out May 31st on Netflix, When They See Us. And it's a story about the Central Park jogger case from 1989. 28-year-old woman was attacked and raped in Central Park in New York City. I was in California at that time. It left her in a coma for 12 days. And then 5 juvenile males, 4 African Americans and 1 Hispanic, were convicted of the crimes in 2 different trials, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, they were convicted of the crimes. There was no hard evidence. There was nothing that was attaching them to the crime. They were chastised and intimidated and forced to confessions that they didn't want to make. How old were they at that time?
Most of them were between 14 and 15, but then Corey, he was 16. So he was, the reason I make that distinction is because Corey, who wasn't even in the park, he was only accompanying one of his friends to the precinct the next day, like, I'm going to keep you company. He got the longest amount of time. He did 14 years.
And he
wasn't even in the park that evening. He was accompanying his friend.
The series is called When They See Us.
Yes, sir.
And Mayor Koch at that time, was it Koch was the mayor at
Yes,
that
sir.
time?
It was Koch.
They put out an alert to find out all the African Americans that were in that park that day. They wanted to bring them in and question them. Corey Wise, when I moved to New York, I moved to 112th and 5th Ave, 111th, and you know where I was at, Mike. And Corey Wise used to live in the building Schaumburg, or in that area diagonal from me. I didn't know he was from the 5. Him and I became brothers. He would come up in my house. He was a Tupac fan.
Yeah.
And I did one of Pac's last interviews, and I had this collection of CDs as a special limited edition, and I let him have it with a book, the whole nine, because he was such a Pac fan. And he would come up, and I would tell him stories about Pac. Did not know who he was. For months, we used to go walking in a little park right there on 110th and 5th, the little lake. Him and I would just walk and talk. And then one day he started sharing me this story. And when I tell you it caught me so off guard, I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. Wow. And he started sharing with me his experience when he got locked up in jail. And Corey Wise probably is about 5'8". Yeah. He's not a big dude. No. Yeah. And when I realized who he was and what he was telling me, but first of all, I couldn't stop from crying, and I couldn't stop from hugging him. He's such a sweet human being, man. And he told me,
he's a warrior.
He's a warrior. Some of the things that he went through when he was locked up, which I wouldn't share.
He's a warrior, man. He's very candid, and he was very frank with what he went through, and it's going to be
in a series. It's going to be depicted in a series.
Yeah, we need to see that. He's a warrior. Make no mistake, he's a warrior.
He was falsely convicted.
Yes.
How many years did they end up staying in jail?
Collectively, what I think the 4 did 7 years, so we're talking 7 times 4, and then add on another 14 because Corey did 14 by himself. So,
Michael, with your experience, not just with this, because I remember that story as well. Sway was on the West Coast, I was on the East Coast, you here. Mm-hmm. What are we supposed to do? What would advice you give? Just like you talking about pedophilia, what are we supposed to do with that anger? You know, because you're looking at your brothers, your cousins, your fathers, your uncles to some degree, because every time we see one of our men, it reminds you of a family member.
Yes,
so you, as a black woman, you wake up with some sort of rage and you have to come to work or you have to take your kids to school. What would you say? You know, what are we supposed to do with this anger?
Well, number one, educate ourselves as a community. A large part of what happened to those men and their families, it could have easily been any one of our families because of the ignorance that the lack of knowledge, rather I should say, of there were basic things that they did not have knowledge of. The fact that you cannot question a minor without an adult in the room. The lawyers should have been there. The fact that they were told that, the way they were coerced to create those statements and to sign it, that was a gross lack of information of what their rights were, which is why I'm a huge fan of Kaepernick. Know your right, know our rights. And to be fully transparent, I'm sitting here right now. I'm 53 years old, born and raised in New York City, and I fully don't have a true grasp of what my entire rights are and what they fully mean, as a black man in New York City. So we're talking about 30 years ago. The educational aspect of how the structure should run was very low. So number one, what we should do with that anger as a community is start to educate ourselves on how the structure of things should work, right? And then within that, we have to start being we have to start showing up to venues and situations that allow us to make our local politicians and our police department accountable.
Yeah.
We have to show up to these events, as corny as they sound. They matter, and people take notice to that. And number three, we the worst thing that we can do for our community and for these 5 men is to let that anger be used to divide us up, right? We have to seek out our good officers in our community and start to work as a community, get back to community policing. I just saw something on the news this morning where this black man was in his backyard picking up garbage with the hand thing you just squeeze, and that turned out 30 minutes later he was surrounded by 8 cops. All of them had their guns drawn on him. This was just this morning on my way.
In his own backyard?
In his backyard, picking up garbage with the thing where you squeeze the handle and the thing and the clasp. And he's standing there talking very articulately, dare I say, right? But you could hear the anger, like, how dare you? And he started to scream, I'm sitting here with a garbage picker-upper and you have 8 guns drawn out at me. How does that make you feel? The disconnect in that situation was beyond. But those officers that came into the community, they don't look at us as a community. They don't see our children. I don't really know what they see, but that is why the name of the title is When They See Us. Yeah. The other half of that statement is, what do you see?
What I remember about this time with this case too is that I remember in 2002, Mateus Reyes, the man who actually
did the raping,
committed the crime, admitted to doing it in 2000.
And not only did he admit to it, well, he admitted to it. That's how the exoneration, he admitted to it, but the damage had already been done. Corey, which was the last one to get out of prison, he was approaching his release time. So it was, a little too late. The other 4 had done their complete 7 years.
Yeah.
But not only did he confess, they had DNA evidence because they couldn't find it on Miss Patricia, the lady who was violated. However, because he ejaculated into a sock and threw that, and they found that like days later, and never thought to let's try to see what was this. They just figured whoever whoever that sock belonged to, the DNA in that sock belonged to, he was part of this crew. That was their rationale to think what they told themselves to make this, to tell they can go to bed at night with this heinous this crime that they pulled in our community. But getting back, that could have been nipped in the bud had we had proper information of like what was not legal. It would have at least given them a leg to stand on.
And we don't wish that on anybody.
No,
a
sir.
woman who was raped, that's
No, sir.
that's a tragedy.
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And these boys were convicted in court, and they were convicted.
And so you know what even hurt even more? The insult to injury to Miss Patricia
Yeah.
was that her perpetrator, not only did they wrongfully convict 5 young men, but her perpetrator went on and violated like 2 to 3 more women.
Wow. And he wasn't convicted of raping her because of the statute of limitation, I think, had passed.
Oh my God.
He was already
did a
serving.
major fumble. Major fumble.
This series is on May 31st on Netflix. We got Rich on the line from Philly. Rich, what would you like to say?
Rich.
Hey, Rich.
What up, Rich?
Yo. I was just thinking about when Donald Trump said he would personally like to put the needle on them young brothers' arms and execute them for that crime when all that was going on. And even though they got exonerated, he never apologized, never. Well, he don't do that anyway. It just made a about statement or none of that. You know what I'm saying? That was just
He
bad.
said, I'm just paraphrasing something that was, and you could read it. He took out a full page ad in the Daily News, and this was like in 1989. He said, I want to hate these muggers and murderers. They should be made to suffer, and they should be executed for their crimes. Bring back the death penalty, bring back our police department. He and when they were exonerated, to his point, he still didn't believe it. That's two. We talk about this, Mike, too, about who you got in public office, locally, citywide, statewide, so on and so forth, because to your point, we got to go to these rallies and we got to get out there and vote, too. So we got the right representation in there. If he had it his way at that time with that mentality, those 5 innocent young men could have been brought, if people had it that way, could have been brought to death for a crime they didn't commit.
One wasn't even there. One person was not even there.
No.
I'm looking forward to watching this. Ava DuVernay is a
Which, by the way, we met right here.
Oh, really? A Sirius XM?
But she was coming out of your studio. I was waiting, sitting over there.
I
for her-
remember that.
Yeah, to come in. And as she turned the corner, I was sitting down right there, right? And she turned the corner, and my spirit said, yo, stand up and greet this queen, right? And I just jumped up out of my chair, right? And I was like, Ava, right? And then I grabbed her and I hugged her. And she said, you smell good. Right? And she said, I love your energy. And I just looked at her, man, and that was pretty much it. And now we're here promoting
God, boy.
when they
That's
see
how
us.
it work, man.
God.
Stick with us, Mike. We got your back,
Man,
baby.
yes, you do,
All
baby.
right.
The love is here.
Michael K. Williams, God bless you. He's playing Bobby McCrane in Sirius When They See Us, May 31st on Netflix. Thank you, brother. Continue work.
No doubt. Bless
In
you.
your honesty, brother. Who we got up next?
Yara Shahidi and Charles Melton.
Okay, and we're going to do Movie Junkies. Sway in the Morning, Shade 4-5.